What exactly do chickens need to survive and thrive in the winter months? Let's find out. It is so cold. It has been below 0 this week, and right now we have finally crept up to 0 degrees. It started out at -4 this morning, and by the afternoon we're up to 0. So it is pretty stinking cold. So like any animal, chickens need 3 basic things to survive. They need food, water, and good shelter. Food, I keep all their food out here in a trash can just to keep it out of the weather, keep it from molding and pests. In the warmer months, I like to ferment their feed, but in the winter, it freezes solid so fast that they can't finish it. So they get dry food throughout the winter. Let's get them a little treat while we go in. I've got their main bag of feed, but then I've also got whole dry corn that I like to toss to them in the winter because it takes longer to digest. It actually helps keep them warm. Hey, chickie babies. Hi. You guys go. They need water, which is kind of the hardest part in the winter months when it's so cold, just to keep their water from freezing. If you have snow on the ground, it's a little bit less stress. If it's fluffy snow, they'll actually eat the snow. If it's iced over and really hard packed, then that's not a good supplementation. But if you have fluffy snow, you don't have to stress as much about keeping their water fresh. But something I like to do to help is this water bottle, you might notice in their bucket, is full of salt water. Salt water freezes at a much lower temperature than does regular water. So by putting a bottle of salt water in their water dish, it helps keep it unfrozen a little bit longer. So good housing is the next thing that they really need. And if you get online and you look up what chickens need for a coop, it gets a little confusing because everybody says you need draft-free with good ventilation. When my husband and I built our coop, that threw us off a little bit, and it took a little bit of digging to figure out what that really means. So chickens stay warm by fluffing up their feathers and making a little air pocket around themselves. Their bodies heat that little pocket of air, and their feathers hold it in, giving them a layer of insulation. If you have a cross breeze in your coop, anything that disturbs their feathers will let that heat out. So that's what we mean by draft free. You don't want any cross breezes, anything to ruffle their feathers and disturb their little bubble of protected heat. But they do need really good ventilation, because if it is an airtight box with no ventilation, all of the moisture from their breathing and from their feces will cause frostbite and more issues for them that way. So let's take a peek inside our chicken coop here. We've got a thick layer of straw on the bottom that helps keep them warm. And throughout the winter, I'm not gonna clean this out. I'm just gonna keep adding a little bit of straw on top and maybe throwing a handful of corn in there for them to scratch around. They will tear through all of their straw, fluff it up, and mix the poop in so that it stays kind of clean. And in the spring, I'll just deep clean it. But the composting manure and the thick layer of straw actually helps keep them warm. And then up top, we have a few inches at the roof line that is open so that everything can rise up and out. On both sides, they get good airflow, but there's no cross breeze to ruffle any feathers. You might be wondering why we don't use a heat lamp, and there's a really good reason for that. If you have a really warm environment and a really cold environment, and you're going between the two, it can really affect your immune system. And chickens are no different. So they can't put on a jacket to go outside to help themselves stay warm. And having a really warm interior temperature and then going outside to a really cold temperature without any acclimation can make them sick. So in order to keep my chickens healthy and strong, I let them acclimate naturally to the temperature changes as the year goes by. And they're perfectly happy and healthy. So chickens don't need much to really thrive during even the most extreme winter months. We have had negative temperatures for the last week, and they're doing great, even without a heat lamp. Just make sure that they have food, fresh water as often as you can get it to them, and somewhere cozy to get in out of the elements. That's all. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you learned something new, or if you have winter chicken keeping tips of your own, let me know in the comments. I always love to learn more. Take care and happy chicken keeping.